Welcome to the Ladies in Biz podcast, where every week we have guests that are amazing female entrepreneurs. Find out how they got started and grew their business. Discover how their story can help you grow your business. Thanks for tuning in today. Here is your host, Penny Redmond.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, whenever you're listening to Ladies in Biz podcast. And we have a fabulous guest again today. Hi, Joni. How are you?
Hi, Penny. I'm very well. Happy International Women's Day.
And you too. And it is exciting. We were just talking about how excited we are about having International Women's Day. I've been bugging Joni for a long time to come on this podcast because I think she's got information that's hard to get hold of. So if you're in business and your business is doing great and you want to franchise it, Joni's the person that was really going to share with us today on what she went through. So Joni, we're going to just go over your bio really quickly. So Joni Lien is here with us. She's an award-winning entrepreneur, a food fiend, well, you might have to be, a world traveler, and SupperWorks Founder and Franchisor. SupperWorks. Anyway, we're just being silly today because we're so excited about International Women's Day. But anyway, in 2005, you started your biz, and it was the first meal prep and assembly business in Ontario at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you were really a pioneer when you were doing this. Pretty scary. And then you're passionate about providing mealtime solutions for busy people, and you've got a great talented team built for SupperWorks as well, because there's 10 Ontario locations. And Jodi, you've accepted, I know, the Entrepreneur of the Year award through Oakville Chamber of Commerce and Rotary Club, and an Achievement in Retail Concept Award from Cadillac Fairview, which is pretty amazing. And I don't know how you do all of this, and then you find time to help a charity. You serve on the board of directors for the Oakville Chamber of Commerce and volunteers with 100 Women Who Care in Oakville, a great charity. Can you tell me, just give me a little bit of an idea, what's the 100 Women Who Care in Oakville? What does that charity do?
It is an amazing group of people, and it's not just limited to Oakville. I'm in the Oakville chapter, so I mean, Calgary, different. There's also 100 men who care and 100 teens who care. It's basically 4 times a year we get together. We have different charitable organizations come in and present. Like, members actually nominate a charity. We hear a presentation, and as a group we vote, and every member donates $100 to that cause or charity. So it's minimal time, which is really important for busy people. A lot of people feel, I can't volunteer, I can't do anything, and I'm just too busy. Well, there's 4 times a year for an hour. You show up, you listen, you vote, and you fork over some money. And we have supported some incredible causes in and around the area, and it really makes an impact. It's so exciting to be part of this group, both because of the good things that we're doing in the community and because of the amazing women that are part of the organization. Just love it.
Oh, it sounds exciting, but it really doesn't demand too much of your time, which is really a great way, because I think that you're so right. You touched on it. Many of us are fearful of joining a charity and then finding that it becomes a second job for us.
Mm-hmm. And so, I show up for some additional meetings, and then on the evenings of the event, I'm one of the friendly greeters. I can do that. So.
Well, look at, we can take points off our Walmart greeters.
Should things ever go awry, I have another career in mind.
I don't think so. But I will say that actually, I know I'm making fun, or it sounds like I'm making fun of Walmart greeters, but actually I quite enjoy them. There's
so do I.
I
really do.
That are at the front lines greeting me in the morning, especially near those cold doors right now. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's really concerning.
Well, it's nice to feel like a human being when you're shopping.
Yeah. I normally stop and chat a little bit as well. That's right.
Next time I'm in Walmart, I'll look for you.
Yeah.
I know where to find you.
I'm at the front talking with the greeter, telling her to stay away from the door because of the wind and being so cold. So, hey, Joni, so one of the things that I know you have had a very interesting path, and I am dying for you to share this with our listeners. So can you give us an idea, how did you ever decide to open up SupperWorks? Like what was in your head? Because that's a big job to start a business like that.
What were you thinking?
Yes.
Well, as a kid, the absolute happiest times of my life were spent around the table. My grandmother in particular she devoted her life to her family and looking after them, my mom and my grandpa. And when we visited, she would put on these amazing meals, and we would just talk and laugh and just, feeling that love. And it was like every bite was just full of love. I was a bit of a food nerd as a kid. I remember, rushing home after school. I'm going to try this new recipe. I was making the family dinners from a really early age. My mom went, quote, back to work when I was in grade 4. And I started making the family dinners then. And I think back, I was really young. And then, fast forward several years, I won't go back, to every family holiday and trip we ever took. I won't do that. But, as a mom with young kids, suddenly cooking is not so much fun anymore. Yeah. For one, no one's helping. My husband had no interest at all whatsoever in that. Kids were too little, and I'm busy, and all this time and effort goes into making food, and everybody's done in 5 seconds, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So for quite a while, I said, I'm not doing it anymore. So we were eating almost exclusively, brown bagging, drive-through, takeout restaurants, spent massive amounts of money. And then after a while of doing that, I was thinking, again, what are you doing? What are you doing? These are not the values and the kinds of, the lifestyle choices that, I was raised with. And, as much, I love eating out, and I think the occasional drive-through the restaurant is okay too. But as part of regular daily life, it's not the way I wanted to raise my kids. So
that's so common. That's not, I think that everyone is in the same boat.
Everyone is busy.
And the kids are going different places, and it's like, okay, when can we actually sit down to eat? When do I have time to cook? I've just been a full day of work.
Yeah. And I remember, it was when my kids were little, I had just, gotten breakfast on the table, putting the dishes in the sink, and my oldest, who was kind of hip height at the time, and her arms were around my leg, and she's saying, "Mommy, what's for dinner?" Oh. I don't know. I really don't know. So anyways, it was kind of a right place, right time thing. I'm a social worker by training. I have my own counseling practice. I wasn't loving the entrepreneurial side of that. I just, in the past I'd worked in agencies where clients come to you, and now suddenly I was having to go out and look for clients rather than actually doing the work that I loved. So anyway, there was this little article in Oprah magazine talking about meal assembly businesses as a way to save money over eating out all the time. Okay, what's that all about? And with a friend who had just been downsized in a banking job, we talked about it, long and hard. Like the next day I said, we're doing this. It was just so much right place, right time. It screamed to the pain points in my own life. And 6 months later, we were open. We looked at franchising with the U.S. company, and they didn't. There was one major player in the U.S. The whole concept started, 3 years before anybody in Canada had even heard of it. Looked and we spoke to that player. They didn't want to come to Canada. They said that there were too many different, rules and regulations in Canada versus in the U.S., and also that the population base wasn't big enough for them to make any money. Those were the two. Okay, so we visited a few different businesses, the big player and some of the smaller ones, took what we liked from the model, kind of left what we didn't, and added our own, unique selves and ideas. And like I said, 6 months later, we were open. So
that's amazing, because it's I think anyone that's even started to open up a business knows that it takes a great deal of time, and it takes a lot longer than you could ever imagine to get everything in place. And for you, you were starting from scratch. It wasn't like you're taking over a business.
Mm-hmm.
You really had a real good business model to take and then just emulate it. You agree?
I have this huge pink binder, where I have sort of documented everything that we did along the way. It's like, oh my gosh, it's at the time it was just do it. This has to be done. Just do it. And that's kind of how I approach my work life. I don't necessarily stop and think like, oh, this is really hard or I don't want to. It's just do it.
Well, one of the things too, and this is, we talk about this all the time in starting a business, is understanding, is there a market? So you knew there was a market. You knew there was a niche that wasn't being taken care of. And
that was just talking, moms, parents at the playground, friends, family. My mother truly hates cooking. truly hates cooking. So my dad has been doing it for years. She's fine with cleaning up, hates cooking. It's just, it was getting healthy, fresh, delicious meals on the table without spending all day doing it seems to be a pretty common theme in conversations with people. It's a problem that we have. And look at all the women's magazines. I call them women's magazines, all the lifestyle magazines out there. How much of these things are devoted to food? I mean, all these TV shows where you have, the chef creating these amazing things. Someone else has done the work.
Oh, all the food prep? That takes all the time.
Exactly. Somebody else is prepping and cleaning up and shopping and doing all that stuff.
I also think the other factor about the pain point is that you don't have time to even think about what you want to prepare. Mm-hmm. So it takes so much effort to go shopping, but firstly, just what the heck am I going to make? I can remember saying to many times with my family is saying, and I still do actually to my husband, I'm going, just tell me what you want. I'll just cook whatever you want. So with SupperWorks, you take that all out of the equation. You don't have to think about it.
Exactly. Once you've picked the food you want, what you have. And it's so much easier to plan. It just takes that extra piece out of your day too.
Oh yeah. And have you ever determined how much time it takes for a mom to do all that? Like just even to get dinner, just say it's dinner. We're not even going to worry about breakfast and lunch. Well, how many hours in a week is devoted just to do a dinner? So that including thought process, writing a list, going shopping, prepping, cooking it, cleaning it. Okay, I'm depressed already just thinking about that.
We did that. We actually asked people a few years ago, and the answers were so different. I mean, I could, on a per meal basis, probably a couple hours.
Wow, that's a lot, though.
Exactly. If you take in all of the steps.
You worked 8 to 10 hours, and then you've got to do 2 hours to do dinner.
Right, and not every day, but that's including the shopping and the other bits and the planning, even finding recipes. I mean, just all that kind of thing. So, and again, it depends. If you're eating craft or boxed mac and cheese every night, it will be a different kind of timeline. If you're eating quality food, it takes time to prepare. And a lot of people, devote their entire Sundays to it, and that's lots of options, but.
Yeah, I can remember going through different stages of trying different things with the kids. And I got to tell you though, that doing it on the weekend it didn't agree with me, because I'm thinking that, I finally have a day off. I deserve a day off, and I don't have to cook all day.
Yeah, so much for the me time and the family time. Oh, well. Yeah. You were chopping onions instead.
Yeah, I just want to go and sit on the couch after and look into space. Cooked all day and my legs are sore, but oh my goodness. So tell me, so you started after 6 months. So where were you located, in Oakville at the time? Or?
Yeah, Oakville is our first location. Yeah.
And so you even had to go and try to find actually space to do this. Mm-hmm. So that would have been a process in itself.
It was. I mean, we needed to find a place that, we knew we'd be open in the evening. So it had to, proper lighting, so everybody felt, safe and secure. It had to have parking, because you leave with a lot of food. So you don't want to be 6 miles down the road and do the hike. You want to be getting parking tickets. It needed to be, residential space, but we also didn't have a ton of money for rent at the time. So yeah, it was a process.
And what kind of equipment did you have to buy at that time as well?
Oh man, we leveraged our houses, and found a banker who was willing to, you know, take some risk on a complete startup, with you know, non-entrepreneurs. But she got the concept and was really excited about it, and I think pulled some strings for us. So again, know your banker and come with a really good story.
So Jodi, you are so lucky to have a great bank manager. And I mean, that was quite a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know that times have changed, and thank goodness there's lots of great companies or banks that are out there to help. I know that we're part of Grow Your Business, and it's sponsored by BMO, and they're wonderful, supporting women. And it's great if you maybe, I think it's probably good if you just shop around a bit as well.
I think things have changed a lot. Different financial organizations are really understanding the power, particularly of the woman entrepreneur now. And they're willing to work more closely with people, to listen to the stories. It's not, you know, the old stereotype about banking is, well, you have to have money to get money. I think that's really, really changing. I think you need to shop around and talk to people, but saying it's easier to get money than it used to be maybe isn't the way to put it. But
more open.
If you have a great idea, a good story, and a solid plan, you know, bring that with you to your bank.
Exactly. And I don't think that they're concerned about gender. As long as your plan is a good plan and you can prove that it can be successful, they really don't care if you're male or female anymore. Times have changed for sure, absolutely, mm-hmm. Which is good. So you had to get all this equipment. So not only did you have to figure out all the food, what you were going to offer, what you were going to give to customers, but you had to figure out all that equipment that you required in order to do it.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I can't tell you how important it was that we went to the US and saw some of these kitchens set up and how they worked. So we started out with, you know, kind of a basic idea. And then from there, we, you know, talked to different companies and looked at different equipment. I mean, we didn't have the money at the time for walk-in fridges and freezers. And we also, at that time, I didn't know that our volume would be big enough to ever require them. So, but we've got beautiful, beautiful stainless, you know, coolers and freezers. They're beautiful. I just love them. I walk in and it's, you know, it's gleaming and shiny. And people say, is your kitchen at home like this? Well, no, it's not.
I don't have the volume.
Exactly.
And do they think that you could actually prep your food there anyway and bring it home? That's the whole idea.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. And so how did you get your first customers? How did you put the word out that SupperWorks has started? My
family and I and the other family, like my friend and her family, went around to, I think, every door in Oakville, and we had little door hangers made up. And my parents were visiting it, you know, at the time we opened, and we went up and down the streets, door to door, with these explanatory door hangers with like a $10 coupon on them, and that's how we started. And then somehow word got out in the media. I don't really know how. I mean, we sent a few invitations out to our grand opening, but suddenly we were flooded with media requests.
Oh, great.
Maclean's was in within a very few months. We had both the major Toronto papers. We had, you know, just TV. I thought it was normal. I didn't know that this was, I'd never, we were flooded with these requests. It's like, oh my God, I have to do another TV interview. I didn't know. And I look back and I think, oh my gosh, so things, just the word spread like wildfire. We've had the newspaper from Ottawa in. It was huge. It was absolutely huge how it took off and how quickly it took off.
Wow, that's unusual, because I mean, most businesses, it takes at least a year or more to really establish themselves.
And as far as business mistakes, I mean, again, I took it for granted. I don't think I said enough thank yous. I don't think I was just busy.
Oh yeah, I know you're focused.
Yeah, and I look back now, and I would be bending over backwards giving these amazing media people who did so many wonderful interviews and made it so pleasant. I'd be giving them food. I'd be, come on back soon. But anyway.
It's always so easy to look back, and also I think that you have to look at, and I'm sure you remember, you're exhausted. Like when you start a new business, there's just, we're just going over a few little things that you were working on, but when you walked in that day, I bet you didn't sleep a lot at the very beginning. You were also had a family, had to deal with that. And sometimes you just get exhausted. I think most of us can say, when we look back, when we're in that time of our lives, when we were doing all those things and working in that we didn't thank enough people. I think you're not alone on that. And it's surely because we're just exhausted. And it's not that we're not grateful, for sure. Absolutely.
Anyway, so if anyone sees this who had been an interviewer or a camera person or whatever, thank you. I truly appreciate everything you did for us. And if I was less than gracious, I apologize.
I'm sure you weren't. You were gracious. I'm sure you were. You probably just remember it differently as well. I think most people can understand as well. So you had your first one in Oakville. So how did you get to the next one then? What was the next step?
A friend of mine who lives in Newmarket was really excited about the idea. And it was less than a year after we opened the first one. She says, I want one. So it was, she has since sold the store, but she was my learning curve. So I went there and, documented the processes and procedures and the training that she needed. And she was very, very patient while I did it. And, that store is, it's number 2, and it's also a beautiful location with wonderful customers and wonderful management. But it's just a huge, huge, huge learning curve at the time. And then because of all the media attention that we'd had, people were coming in from far and wide to check us out. We were, the next, the new best thing. So again, that the Ottawa coverage, people were coming from as far as Ottawa to check us out.
Wow.
So we now have 3 stores there.
That's good.
So yeah.
So Newmarket was the second one, and thank goodness you were a friend, because you would have had to document everything in order to get ready for the next step, right?
Exactly. And as much as I thought I had everything down pat, I learned a lot.
And that takes an enormous amount of time. So now you're running a business plus documenting everything. And normally you're running off your feet, let alone taking the time to document it.
Yeah, and that was the time when I really had to start stepping back from store operations and being on a day-to-day basis and being there all the time, because you can't do all of that at the same time as much as you'd like to. So that was a real transition for me in my role in SupperWorks.
And plus traveling back and forth to that takes a little bit more out of your time. Okay, so what happened next then? So you got 2 rolling and doing extremely well, all this media attention. So what made you think, I'm going to just get another one? I'm going to find somebody else, or did they find you?
They found us. That's exactly what happened. They found us. They'd come in, again, one of these people coming from far and wide, our Toronto area store, she'd come in as a customer because she read about us. It's the Waterloo. That's just what happened. People were interested, intrigued, came in, checked us out, and said, I want one. I want one of these. I want, my community needs one of these.
Oh, I love it when I hear that my community needs one of these, because then they understand that the pain points of the women in the area, and they need support.
Mm-hmm.
So you had, so now you've had two. So what was the next step then after that? So did you just start with number 3 or 4, or when did you actually go through that process of understanding how it had to be franchised?
That all happened really quickly. We, in our network, had somebody who had worked at Dairy Queen and was involved in franchising. So we kind of, with their consent, built off the Dairy Queen franchise agreement, and obviously got good legal counsel, and that's what we went with.
Wow. And so people came to you, so you never really went out and really promoted it and saying this is a franchisee company, go for it.
We went to one of the franchise shows, and at the time we're really not a turnkey operation. So the kind of franchisee that we're looking for is very, very specific. It's not a business that, you get everything set up and Bob's your uncle, off you go. Our menus, where the whole
store is just, here's what it looks like. Here's, every piece of equipment that you need. We're going to ship you the equipment or anything. So
yeah, it's
levels of franchisees as well, right?
Pardon me?
There's different levels of franchisees and what they do for you or what you have to do. The business model isn't always the exact same for every franchisee.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So anyway, the franchise show in the 2 that we went to, we found that people were looking more for turnkey operations, and we didn't seem to be jiving. And
probably weren't maybe the people that are the right people to have that business either, because it is very much a community-run business.
Mm-hmm. So all of our franchisees they're involved in their communities. They, again, understand they truly in their own lives understand the pain points involved in getting great food on the table. And they came in as customers, so they understood our value proposition.
So you're up to 10 now? Is that?
Yeah, 10 stores.
And they're mostly in the GTA area, right?
Yeah. So
no, they're in Ottawa, so they're not just in the GTA.
Well, yeah, so the 3 Ottawa area stores, and then 7 others a little closer to home.
Yeah. And so I'm just curious, because I've looked at all the meals and I've done some of your recipes and had stuff from you, of course. But I'm just curious on how do you determine what the menu is? Because there's so many people with so many different tastes and levels.
So that's one of the favorite pieces of what I do. The
secret, and you can't tell us.
Well, my secret is that I love eating. I don't really love cooking. And again, I want the emotion, the connectedness around the table. I want to eat well. I want to look after myself. I want to look after the people that I love. But the cooking part of it, I don't love. So I do everything in my power to make the whole process as easy as possible. And a huge piece of that is making sure that you have good food and, healthy food that is kind of in line with food trends, to some extent. We have 14 different recipes on our menu every month, and, plus side dishes and some desserts and things. So with the menu changing, it gives us lots of opportunity to bring in kinds of meals that will satisfy very different tastes. So we have things on our menu that are, very family friendly. We have things that are, a little exotic, things that are company worthy, vegetarian, chicken. We vary the menu as much as we can. And I'm looking for recipes all the time. I love traveling, and I very often will bring home a recipe or 2 from different trips, trips to India or Seychelles, Maldives, lovely Italy, France, and just, Prague, and just, again, I very much combine my love of travel with my love of food. I read cookbooks for fun. I'm trolling the internet all the time. Friends and family and customers and our SupperWorks team members. One of my favorite, I have to tell this story. It's one of my favorites. So I was in the SupperWorks Oakville one day, and a customer came in, and I think she just came in to chat a little bit and, kind of see what we have and anything I can take home today. And she gave me a recipe, and it was this turkey, some sort of a turkey chili. And she said, I made this last night and it was wonderful, and I wanted you to have the recipe. I said, well, okay, so if it was so great and you made it, why do you want us to do? I don't understand. She says, oh, it was so much work. I want you to do the work so I can just enjoy the recipes. Oh, it warmed my heart. I was so happy.
Oh my goodness, that's adorable though. But isn't that, do you find now too that, like, originally you were definitely focused on the pain points of a working mother and that, and as our aging population, do you find that that's shifting a little bit, that you're finding that maybe it's not all working moms, it's women or people that are more elderly?
We started out very much geared towards, the young family, and our focus, is, I'm not 40 anymore. My parents are in their 80s now. I've had, kids away at school. So as I've grown and changed, SupperWorks has grown and changed. And, lots of people are worried about what their kids are eating when they're away. So they can, send some things off. And a lot of people are worried about what's in their parents' fridges and freezers.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Once the actual, the eating and the mealtime is out of your control with the people you love, it's, well, what are they eating? And can I help?
And most seniors, and my mom was an example, is that they definitely want to stay in their home as long as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
The concern I know as a child is, are they eating properly? And especially if they don't live in the same town as you, it's not like you can just go and bring them food.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly SupperWorks is an opportunity for you can go and get great meals and know that they're eating well and they're not going to get sick because they're...
Yeah. And with seniors too, I found for one thing, if you are a single senior, cooking for one is not fun.
No.
It is not fun. It's kind of easy to get stuck in the Fruit Loops trap.
Yeah.
Or, just have cheese and crackers every night because it's easy. And
we call it scurvy breakfast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, the all-day breakfast takes on new meaning.
Yeah.
And then there are the seniors who say, you know what, I've done this all my life and I'm sick of it. I do not want to cook anymore, but I still want to continue eating well and not spend a fortune doing it.
Yeah.
And those are, two of the ways that we can help out. Either our regular menu items can be split into portions, like serving 2 to 3 at a time. So you get your couple of meals out of it, maybe a lunch, which is great. I love that. And we also have our own line of like microwavable or ovenable meals for one. So we create them and cook them in-house. There are SupperWorks TV dinners, and I rely on those a lot. It's our same healthy, wonderful, delicious recipes, but you throw it in the microwave or in the oven, it's all there, complete.
Yeah, no excuses not to eat properly, right?
Yeah. And even when you get home after a long day of meetings or whatever, and you're tired and it's just, the family's eating. Anyway, it's taking the pain points out of the whole eating process.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why you're so successful, is because you totally understand the pain points of the families and of the people and your customer base. And I think that's businesses that are successful is because they truly understand what their customers' pain points are. And you certainly do that. What else do you think you would think that is really important? So if a person started their business today and they decided that they wanted to franchise it, what message would you give to them?
I would say really, really look at your reasons for why you want to franchise. If you love baking pies, for example, or cooking, or if you love, knitting hats, that sounds very stereotypical. If you love working on car engines, whatever it is, if you really, really love doing that, you might not want to franchise, because you probably won't be doing a lot of those activities anymore.
I gotcha. I understand what you're saying now. Because all of a sudden now you're a business, your business activities,
Yes.
business will take over rather than doing what you really love to do.
Right. Or find someone else to take over the franchising part for you. That's another possibility. So you can continue to do those things, but grow. And that might be a little bit more circuitous way to get at it. So that's one thing. And again, what are your, as with anything, what are your goals? What do you hope to accomplish? Will franchising do something for you financially? Will it do something for your lifestyle that you like? What is it that you're looking for when you're considering this process? And that's huge. What do you want, and is this the best way to get there?
It is very concerning, and I've seen it happen before where people do have a love, and then when they just start to grow, and it's not even in franchising, it's just when you start to grow, is that all of a sudden what you really started your business at and what you really loved gets lost in the shuffle because of the growth. So it's good and it's bad, but it doesn't often lead to happiness as well.
Yeah, exactly. So what will your gains be? I mean, there are many, many different ways of scaling up a business. One option is, of course, stay doing what you're doing and, growing, just kind of as you click along. That's one option. And that's a great option for a lot of people. Another one might be to, get into a bigger facility. So ramp up whatever you're doing that way. Stay to one location, but do more of what you do, hire more people, produce more of what it is you produce, look at different ways of getting your product out to different people, whether it's, locally or abroad. There's, lots of opportunities and lots of different ways of scaling up. So I would suggest doing some reading and some homework and really seeing where your goals lie and how to best align your activities with those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And last week we had Liza on, one of our other people that we're members of. She came on and she went over about hiring employees. And that's the other thing is when I know for you as well, is that all of a sudden you've got franchisees as well as employees, and that takes on all kinds of a different leadership role and different skills that are required. So I think that's, just like you said, you have to really look at all of those things that is going to take you away from where you've been before. And are these the tasks and skills that you have that you're going to be able to cope with? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with not growing, like just doing what you love. So, there's no wrong or right answer.
Yeah, it really is a very, very personal decision, and whatever decision you make, again, needs to align with your desires, your goals. So do your homework, do a lot of reading, do a lot of thinking.
And we're just talking briefly, we said about the franchise association. So would that be a good resource for people if they were thinking to franchise their business? Is there any kind of people in that association that can help them at all, or is it just association that? Absolutely.
It's a wonderful organization, and I have not tapped into it as much as I should have. I'm a member, and they do wonderful articles on us a couple of times a year, and it's a very, very underutilized resource, and I'm not using my membership as well as I should. I did go to a couple of their very big annual events, and incredible learning opportunities, breakout sessions, and different suppliers that might be of assistance with equipment or marketing, every possible aspect of a franchise. And another opportunity that I'm really thinking about now is getting to know other franchise systems and maybe cross promotional activities or opportunities,
collaborations.
Exactly. So I need to work harder and do better at working with other franchisors.
Well, I really think for 2019, we always have a certain word every year, and you hear it vibrate through the whole universe. But I think for 2019, it's all about collaboration. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it, because I'm in the digital world, so I'm going to think of it in a different way, but digitally, collaborations are so important because you feed off the energy from both your companies, and then it becomes such a, you're able to reach so many more people because of that energy. It's synergies between both of you. And it's over years I've worked at different industries, and I've always seen the industries that are being the most successful is where the competitors work together.
Mm-hmm.
They joined hands, and I've worked with, and honestly, it was just wonderful to work in those industries when people did that. And I actually think the food industry is one of those industries where people are really good to work with each other and to help each other out. And because, business is tough, it's tough for everybody. And if you can help someone else, great, because it always comes back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different ways to reach out to other businesses. And, as much as maybe we're looking for maybe some support, ideas, opportunities with others look to us for support, ideas, and opportunities.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things I mentioned to you is that, I said, I was so excited to have you come on to the podcast because I said, I don't know of any other woman that has started a franchise. Like, I just don't know. I said, I can't even, I've gone in, I've checked, I can't see anything. So you're, even in 2019, you're still a rarity, which is hard to believe that women haven't gotten into this more. But just like you said, it does take an enormous amount of work, and there's so many other things you have to think of, objectives and goals.
It does. And in looking back, I don't really think I would change much of anything. I truly love what I do. And my team is incredible. It's evolved over the years, of course, but I think my greatest skill is surrounding myself with wonderful people, wonderful, talented, motivated, just wonderful human beings.
I hear that.
So incredibly lucky.
I when we've talked personally and stuff like that, I hear that same common message from you on a regular basis. And I think that's probably why you're so successful, is because you're so respectful of other people and really truly love people. And it sounds like it started when you were a child. Now that I know a bit more about being around the kitchen table, because that model that you saw when you were a child, you've extended it even to adulthood and into being a professional. So that's a wonderful story, actually. So I think we're running out of time, but I just want to make sure to give you an opportunity. Is there something else, like if a woman was thinking of franchising, is there something else you would like to just share with them before I want to ask you about your personal message?
Check out the CFA, look at their website, go to your local business centers. If you'd ever like to connect with me, I'd be happy to have a chat. Maybe
you might be inundated with calls. So, but anyway, I know that you would make time for it.
Let me do some reading and some research first.
Yeah, I think you might want to just say,
yeah.
Come with your plan. Discuss it then. So, with all our guests, I love this part, is to give you an opportunity, and especially today because it's International Women's Day. Woo! Is what message would you love to be able to share with other women?
What message would I love to share? We live in an amazing world full of incredible opportunities that maybe our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers didn't have. And go for it. Failure is not the worst thing, or mistakes are not the worst thing. Not reaching your dreams or your potential, that's the worst thing. Every single individual on the planet has their own innate gifts. We have, passion, strengths, talents. Explore them, let them grow, look for opportunity to use them. And then when you do that, take time and look back at what you're accomplishing, what you've done, and just be proud and own it. When someone gives you a compliment, take it. Just say thank you and smile and feel good. I don't know. That's
absolutely So true. And I agree with you. Just do it. Just go and go for it. Don't
do it and be proud. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I know everyone says be humble, but you know what? When you achieve something, you know what? Spread the word, because then it supports other women, or other women can see that they can do it too.
Yeah, exactly. If you're humble and say, it wasn't such a big deal, you know what? Own it. Be proud.
Absolutely.
And then you're a shining light for other people who are, thinking about taking a big leap.
Absolutely, for sure. So one of the last things too that I like going over is, and we kind of alluded to it, is being able to connect with you and to the other SupperWorks locations. If you can give us an idea how they can connect.
Okay, well, easiest way, our website is www.supperworks.com. And that can link you to any one of the SupperWorks locations. There's a store locator there.
Okay, great.
If there's any general questions about SupperWorks, there's info at SupperWorks, but it's all on the website, and that's probably the easiest way.
Okay, great. So anyway, I'll put that in the link down so everyone knows exactly how to get it. It's pretty easy though, supperworks.com. Easier than that. And so that's great. So I'm so glad that you came on and shared with us your story and about franchising, because I got to tell you, I think it mystifies a lot of us, and we just wonder, how would you ever get into it? Like, what would be the steps? So you've given us a great insight to your world and to what possibilities there are for all of us.
Well, thanks, Penny, and thank you for having me on your podcast, and for the time you've given me, and for giving different women in business an opportunity to express their journeys and their learnings. And thank you. It's much appreciated.
Great. That's what Ladies in Business for. So anyway, take care and have a great weekend.
Okay, you too. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies in Biz. Send us your comments on ladiesinbiz.com. We would like to hear from you.